The pace slows down after that initial shock, and honestly, that's what makes everything hurt more. This is where the reality of Tommy's firing really settles in. There's no dramatic scene of him yelling or demanding answers. Instead, we watch a man move through his day knowing he no longer belongs where he spent years building his authority. His phone stays quiet, his voice carries less weight, and for the first time in a long time, Tommy is forced to sit with himself, without a title, without control, without a clear next move. You can feel how uncomfortable that is for him, because his entire life has been about managing risk, predicting outcomes, and keeping disasters contained. Now, he's powerless, watching from the outside as the exact mess he warned about continues to grow. Angela handles this moment in the only way she knows how: denial wrapped in confidence. She talks about severance like it's a long-term solution. She reassures Aninsley that nothing is going to change. She even tries to convince herself that this is temporary. But there's something different in her tone now. A hesitation, a pause before she speaks. Angela has always relied on money to solve problems, to erase discomfort, to stay in control. And now, for the first time, that safety net feels thin. When she looks at Tommy, there's still love there, but it's tangled up with fear and frustration. She doesn't say it out loud, but you can tell she's already calculating how long this version of their life can last. Over at MTech's, Tommy's absence is impossible to ignore. The balance he brought to the room is gone. Decisions happen faster, but they feel less thoughtful. Cammy doesn't hesitate anymore. She doesn't second-guess herself. If anything, she seems energized by the freedom of not being challenged. Meetings are shorter, orders are sharper, people nod along instead of pushing back. Not because they agree, but because no one wants to be the next person pushed out. The offshore project keeps moving forward, but there's a growing sense that it's running on momentum alone, not strategy. Everything looks fine on paper, yet something feels off beneath the surface. Cooper's situation starts closing in on him in a way that's impossible to escape. The incident at the bar isn't treated like a heroic moment anymore. It's paperwork, statements, questions that don't have clean answers. The praise he received for protecting Ariana fades quickly once the legal system gets involved. Cooper realizes that doing what felt right in the moment may cost him everything he just fought to earn: his position at MTech's, his reputation, his future. And the worst part is, deep down, he knows he'd make the same choice again. That conflict eats at him. He's not running from the consequences, but he's also not sorry for protecting someone he loves. And that puts him in a place with no easy way out. Ariana feels that weight too, just differently. She's shaken, not only by the attack, but by watching Cooper spiral because of it. There's guilt in her silence, guilt in the way she looks at him. She didn't ask for violence to solve her problem, and now she's watching that violence reshape both of their lives. The Patch Cafe no longer feels safe or familiar. Every shift feels tense. Every glance feels loaded. And her relationship with Cooper, which once felt grounding, now feels fragile, like one wrong move could break it completely. Out on the offshore operation, small issues begin to surface. Nothing dramatic, nothing headline-worthy, just delays, miscommunications, and decisions made without full information. The kind of problems that are easy to ignore until they stack up. Landman has always understood that disasters don't announce themselves early. They creep in quietly, disguised as manageable inconveniences. And that's exactly what's happening here. The project is moving fast, but no one seems fully prepared for what happens if something goes wrong. By this point, the tension has shifted from loud chaos to quiet dread. Everyone is pretending things are under control while privately questioning everything. Tommy is isolated. Angela is cornered by a reality she can't buy her way out of. Cooper is trapped between instinct and consequence. Cammy is pushing forward without a safety brake, and the offshore operation feels like a ticking clock no one wants to look at. The storm isn't here yet, but you can feel it getting closer with every decision they make. The pressure keeps building, and what makes it worse is how normal everything tries to look on the surface. People keep showing up to work, phones keep ringing, meetings keep happening. But underneath all of that routine, the cracks are spreading. Tommy tries to stay out of it, but the truth is, he can't fully walk away. Too much of his life is tied to that offshore project, Too many people ignored his warnings for him to just pretend it's no longer his problem. There's a quiet frustration in him now, mixed with something close to guilt. He knows what's coming, he can feel it, and knowing you could have stopped something, but didn't, is a heavy thing to carry. Cammy, on the other hand, is riding the high harder than ever. She interprets every small success as proof that she made the right call by cutting Tommy loose. Equipment launches smoothly. Numbers look good. Investors seem satisfied. To her, caution was just fear dressed up as intelligence. She believes boldness is the only language this business respects. But the episode subtly shows how that confidence is starting to isolate her. People around her stop offering opinions. They start waiting for instructions instead. Leadership turns into control, and control turns into loneliness. Cammy doesn't notice it yet, but she's building an operation where no one feels safe enough to tell her the truth. Cooper's world continues shrinking. At work, the respect he earned hasn't vanished, but it's different now. People look at him carefully. Conversations stop when he enters rooms. He's no longer just the promising leader. He's a risk. A headline waiting to happen. Cammy sees it too, even if she doesn't say it outright. With Tommy gone, Cooper should have been next in line for influence. Instead, his future is suddenly uncertain. One legal decision could erase everything, and that uncertainty starts affecting how he moves, how he speaks, how he thinks. The confidence he showed on the rig begins to fracture under the weight of consequences he can't control. Ariana tries to hold herself together, but the emotional cost is catching up with her. She's angry at the man who attacked her, she's scared of what could have happened, and she's conflicted about Cooper's response. Loving someone who's willing to destroy their own future for you is not a simple thing. It doesn't feel romantic, it feels terrifying. Their relationship exists in a strange limbo now, suspended between gratitude and fear. They care about each other deeply, but neither of them knows what comes next, and that uncertainty hangs over every quiet moment they share. Angela's storyline starts turning uncomfortable here. The money situation can't be ignored anymore, no matter how hard she tries. Subtle changes creep in. Fewer impulsive purchases, more questions about timing, a growing tension whenever Tommy mentions looking for work. She doesn't say it directly, but her patience thins. Angela has always thrived in control, and losing financial power makes her feel exposed. What's most painful is that she doesn't know how to communicate that fear without sounding selfish. So instead, it comes out as irritation, distance, and cold practicality. The emotional gap between her and Tommy widens even when they're standing in the same room. And Inslee senses that something is wrong, even if no one explains it to her. The comfort she's used to starts feeling conditional. The confidence she carried begins to wobble. She doesn't understand the business or the money, but she understands mood shifts, silence, stress. And that awareness quietly reshapes how she sees her parents. For the first time, she realizes they're not unshakable. And that realization stays with her. Out at sea, the offshore project keeps advancing, but the problems are no longer just minor inconveniences. A decision made too quickly creates a ripple effect. A miscommunication delays part of the operation. Nothing explodes, nothing collapses, but the tension spikes. People start double-checking things that should have been clear. The sense of control everyone pretended to have begins slipping. This is where Landman excels, showing how disasters don't arrive suddenly. They form slowly through confidence, shortcuts, and ignored warnings. By now, the episode feels heavy with inevitability. Everyone is still moving forward, but no one feels secure. Tommy watches from the sidelines, knowing he may be the only one who can fix what's coming, yet unsure if he'll even be allowed back in. Cammy keeps pushing, convinced she's right. Cooper stands at the edge of losing everything. Ariana lives with the aftermath of one violent moment. Angela fights reality with denial, and the offshore operation keeps ticking forward, one decision closer to something no one is ready to face. The calm isn't reassuring anymore, it's unsettling. Because when things get this quiet, it usually means the worst hasn't happened yet.
By this point, the episode starts feeling heavier with every passing minute, like the air itself is getting harder to breathe. The offshore operation reaches a stage where there's no turning back anymore. too much money has been spent. Too many promises have been made. Pulling out now would look like failure, and Cami refuses to let that word exist in her world. She doubles down, approving decisions faster than anyone can fully process them. From the outside, it looks like confidence. From the inside, it feels like panic disguised as control. The people around her follow orders, but their trust is thinning, replaced by fear of being blamed if something goes wrong. Tommy continues watching from a distance, and you can tell it's tearing him apart. Every update he hears confirms what he already knows. Shortcuts are being taken. Risks are being minimized on paper instead of in reality. He tries to warn a few people quietly, not officially, just as someone who still cares. But without his title, his words don't carry the same weight anymore. And that's one of the most painful truths this episode delivers. Being right doesn't matter if no one has to listen to you. The system has already moved on, even if it's moving in the wrong direction. Cooper's legal situation takes a darker turn here. What once felt like a gray area starts becoming more clearly defined, and not in his favor. Lawyers talk in careful language. Possible charges are mentioned without being fully explained. The future that once seemed so bright now feels fragile and temporary. Cooper begins questioning everything: his role at MTEX, his instincts, his ability to protect the people he loves without destroying himself in the process. The weight of that internal conflict shows in how withdrawn he becomes. The man who once led with certainty now hesitates, and in this world, hesitation is dangerous. Ariana feels that shift in him immediately. She tries to reassure him, but reassurance only goes so far when the threat is real. There's a quiet sadness in their scenes together now. They're still close, still connected, but the joy has drained out of their interactions. Everything feels serious, heavy, like they're both waiting for bad news to drop at any moment. Ariana starts thinking about her own future too, about whether staying in this environment, in this town, tied to this industry, is really safe anymore. The incident at the bar wasn't just an attack, it was a wake-up call. Angela's storyline finally starts showing visible cracks. The lifestyle she's built begins slipping in small but noticeable ways. She pushes back against it, of course, insisting things will go back to normal. But the episode lets us see how deeply uncomfortable she is without financial certainty. Control has always been her armor, and now that armor feels thin. Her conversations with Tommy grow shorter, sharper. She doesn't mean to be cruel, but fear makes her blunt. And the more Tommy pulls inward, the more Angela pushes outward, widening the distance between them. And Ainsley, caught in the middle, starts pulling away emotionally. She spends more time alone, distracted, trying to stay out of the tension. She doesn't fully understand what's happening, but she knows it isn't good. That sense of instability begins reshaping her confidence and her trust in the adults around her. It's subtle, but important. Landman has always been good at showing how adult decisions quietly shape younger lives without anyone meaning to cause harm. Out at sea, a serious complication finally emerges. Not a disaster yet, but something that can't be ignored or brushed aside. A problem that requires immediate attention and careful handling. This is the moment where Tommy's absence becomes truly dangerous. The people in charge struggle to respond efficiently. Instructions conflict. Delays stack up. Cami insists everything is manageable, but the tension in the crew tells a different story. This isn't just about money anymore. Safety is now part of the equation. The episode doesn't give us release here. It refuses to. Instead, it lets the anxiety sit. The kind of anxiety that comes from watching people make the wrong choices while believing they're doing the right thing. Everyone is moving forward, but no one is aligned. Trust is fractured. Communication is strained. And the offshore operation, the very thing meant to secure everyone's future, now feels like the greatest threat to it. As this part of the story unfolds, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Landman isn't building toward a single shocking moment. It's building toward collapse through accumulation. One bad decision stacked on top of another, one warning ignored, one line crossed. And when enough of those moments pile up, something is bound to give. The only question left hanging in the air is who will be standing close enough when it finally does.
By now, the episode feels like it's running on borrowed time. Every conversation carries urgency, every decision feels final, and the sense that something irreversible is about to happen hangs over everything. Out on the offshore platform, the situation reaches its most dangerous phase. The problem that started as a technical complication has grown into a full-blown risk scenario. People are tense, movements are calculated, voices are raised and then lowered again, like everyone is afraid of saying the wrong thing at the wrong moment. This is no longer about profit or pride. This is about making it through the day without someone getting seriously hurt. Cammy is forced into the position she's been avoiding all season. She can either keep pushing forward and pretend control still exists, or she can admit that the operation is on the edge. For a brief moment, you see hesitation in her. Not fear exactly, but doubt. The kind of doubt that comes when reality refuses to bend to confidence. She asks for updates more frequently now. She listens a little longer than before. But even here, her instinct is to dominate the situation instead of surrendering to expertise. Admitting she was wrong would mean admitting Tommy mattered more than she wanted to believe, and that's a truth she's still fighting. Tommy finally gets pulled back toward the center of the chaos. Not officially, not publicly, but quietly. Someone reaches out. A question is asked that only he can answer. And in that moment, everything about his firing feels painfully small compared to what's at stake. He doesn't gloat. He doesn't hesitate. His focus snaps back into place immediately, like muscle memory. You can feel how natural this world still is to him, how much he belongs here, even after being pushed out. At the same time, there's a sadness in it, because helping now doesn't erase what happened. It just proves how necessary he always was. Cooper's storyline reaches a point of emotional exhaustion. The weight of the legal situation, the pressure at work, and the chaos offshore collide all at once. He's stretched thin, trying to be strong for everyone while quietly unraveling. The anger that once fueled him is gone, replaced by fear of losing everything he's built. He questions whether stepping in that night saved Ariana or doomed them both. And there's no clear answer, only consequences still unfolding. Ariana senses that breaking point in him. She wants to be supportive, but she's also coming to terms with her own limits. Loving someone doesn't mean sacrificing your sense of safety or your future. That realization hurts her, and it shows. Her affection doesn't disappear, but it changes. It becomes cautious, measured, like she's bracing herself for the possibility that this relationship might not survive what's coming next. Angela, meanwhile, reaches the edge of her own tolerance. The lifestyle she clung to is slipping away faster than she can control, and it scares her. She doesn't explode. She doesn't scream. She becomes colder, more distant, more practical. The warmth she once showed Tommy fades under the pressure of uncertainty. It's painful to watch because it feels real. Fear doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like emotional withdrawal. And Inslee stands quietly in the background of all this, watching the people she relies on struggle. The security she once felt is gone, replaced by questions she doesn't know how to ask yet. She grows quieter, more reserved. The show doesn't dwell on her pain, but it doesn't need to. You can see it in her eyes. As the offshore situation reaches its critical moment, the episode makes one thing painfully clear. This entire season has been about ignoring warnings until they become emergencies. Every choice, every shortcut, every act of pride has led here. The operation might survive, it might not. But either way, the damage is already done. Relationships are fractured, trust is broken, futures are uncertain. The episode doesn't give us relief yet. Instead, it tightens the emotional grip, reminding us that even if the immediate crisis passes, nothing will go back to the way it was before. Some lines once crossed can't be uncrossed. And as the finale inches closer to its end, you can feel that Landman isn't asking whether these characters will survive the storm. It's asking what parts of themselves they'll lose in the process.